The first thing you notice is the sound, soft, distant, and strangely familiar, as if someone had taken the quietest hum of the ocean and stretched it into a single endless note, a vibration that settles gently against your chest rather than your ears. When you open your eyes, the world around you feels suspended in a slow blue glow, illuminated by hundreds of tiny particles drifting outside the curved glass wall in front of you, shimmering like floating dust caught in a beam of moonlight. Except these motes twist and pulse with faint bioluminescence, reacting to the movement of the water beyond the barrier. You're lying on a smooth, slightly warm platform made of a material you can't quite name, something between polished stone and engineered resin. And as you sit up, the surface shifts softly to adjust to the weight of your body, like an intelligent bed designed to prevent any sudden movements from disturbing your heartbeat. There is no sensation of danger, no sense of urgency. Instead, it feels as though the environment itself is waiting for you to wake up, as if this moment had been prepared long before you opened your eyes. The ceiling curves over you like the inside of a pearl, faint lines of light following the arcs of structural ribs that glow in rhythmic pulses, timed perfectly with your breathing, even though you're certain that's impossible. You take a slow breath, and the air tastes crisp and faintly sweet, like it has been filtered through layers of deep-sea minerals, enriched with tiny traces of something floral, maybe engineered algae designed to keep the oxygen fresh. As you stand, your steps produce no echo. The floor absorbs sound completely, and each movement feels cushioned, weightless, almost dreamlike. Then you turn toward the vast, transparent expanse that dominates the room, and your breath catches, not in fear, but in disbelief. Outside, stretching in every direction, is an entire city submerged beneath the ocean, illuminated by soft rings of pale blue light that wrap around towers shaped like spirals, domes and floating capsules anchored to the seafloor by thick, ribbon-like conduits. Schools of silver fish glide slowly between the buildings, their movements synchronized as though they're part of a silent ballet, while long strands of glowing kelp sway in hypnotic arcs, each frond leaving behind tiny trails of green luminescence. High above, barely visible through the layered blue, a distant shape drifts by, massive, graceful, like a whale made of shadows, its sheer presence making the entire city seem both insignificant and protected. You place your hand on the glass, and the surface is cool but not cold, trembling faintly with the natural rhythms of the water beyond. A gentle vibration travels through your fingertips, a reminder that you are not in an artificial simulation, not in a dream, but inside a living environment, one that exists miles beneath the surface of the ocean. As you stand there absorbing the impossible beauty, a soft tone resonates behind you, low, welcoming, almost like the chime of a tuning fork, and a calm, synthetic voice speaks with warmth you wouldn't expect from a machine. Good morning. You are now inside Pelagia, the largest underwater city ever built. Take your time. Your orientation will begin when you're ready. The message fades, leaving you alone again, with the slow currents drifting outside the window, and for a long moment you simply stand there, breathing in the impossibly clean air, feeling the gentle pulse of the city around you, realizing with a strange, comforting certainty that this place, deep beneath miles of crushing water, wrapped in light and silence, might be one of the safest, most peaceful environments ever created. From the moment you begin to explore the chamber, a quiet curiosity settles into your thoughts, the kind that doesn't rush or demand immediate answers, but instead unfolds gently, like a memory surfacing from somewhere deep inside you. And although the voice that welcomed you has fallen silent, the faint glow of the walls seems to respond to each slow step you take, encouraging you to move forward at your own pace. As you approach a softly illuminated panel, its surface brightens and reveals a smooth, translucent interface that activates without touch, displaying a slow-moving timeline suspended in the air. a chronological stream of softly pulsing points that drift like floating beads. The first point expands, and a calm narration begins, woven seamlessly into the ambient hum of the room. Pelagia was conceived more than 5 decades ago, at a time when rising sea levels, shifting coastlines, and unpredictable climate patterns forced humanity to rethink its relationship with Earth's oceans. The words don't feel like a lecture. Instead, they roll across your senses like warm water, each phrase gently painting images in your mind. You see vast research vessels navigating stormy waters, scientists and engineers standing on trembling decks as they debate the future of coastal cities. Another point glows, revealing simulations of superstorms battering shorelines, entire communities relocating inland, and governments pooling resources for long-term survival strategies. The Pelagia Initiative, the narration continues, was originally intended as a scientific outpost, an underwater observatory that could monitor oceanic changes from within. The panel shifts, showing early blueprints, simple, ring-shaped habitats anchored to flat seabeds, connected by narrow cylindrical tunnels. They look nothing like the vast city outside your window now. As the timeline flows onward, you learn that the first prototypes were built at shallow depths, no more than 100 feet below the surface, designed to withstand only mild pressure and stable currents. These early structures tested life support systems, structural composites, and the psychological effects of long-term underwater living on rotating teams of volunteers. You watch grainy footage of the first inhabitants, scientists eating meals in small, windowless pods, astronauts assisting with training sessions, psychologists interviewing subjects who spoke of vivid dreams and unexpected calm after weeks below the waves. The timeline shifts again, showing the turning point, discoveries made in the deep Pacific trenches, where pressure-resistant microorganisms revealed new possibilities for bioengineered materials. Using insights from those organisms, researchers created flexible, self-healing structural membranes, materials capable of withstanding enormous pressure while filtering light and maintaining clarity. The breakthrough, the narration explains, allowed humanity to build deeper than ever before in places previously considered unreachable. That's when the Pelagia Initiative transformed from a simple research project into something far more ambitious. International committees, private investors, environmental coalitions, and scientific institutions began contributing designs, technologies, and funding. Over several decades, the idea of a small observatory expanded into a vision of an entire underwater metropolis, one that could house thousands, powered entirely by renewable sources, integrated into the surrounding ecosystem rather than imposed upon it. The holographic interface shows rotating models of massive external turbines gently spinning with currents, bioluminescent algae farms glowing in cultivation domes, hydrothermal generators harnessing heat from the ocean floor, and a vast grid of pressure conversion cells that transform the ocean's constant weight into stable electrical output. You see architects walking through simulations of curved corridors lined with organic lighting, engineers testing underwater rail systems, and marine biologists planning sanctuaries where migrating species could pass safely through designated corridors. All of it builds toward the moment Pelagia officially opened, not with a single switch or ceremony, but slowly, section by section, like a coral reef growing over years until it becomes a thriving habitat. Pelagia, the narration concludes softly, was not built in response to fear, but in pursuit of harmony. Where others saw a barrier, its founders saw a refuge, a chance to build a home beneath the waves, where humanity and the ocean could coexist in a balance never before imagined. The hologram fades, the room dims to its gentle blue shimmer again, and you stand there absorbing the weight of all that history, feeling a quiet respect for the countless minds that dared to dream of a place like this, and the generations that turned that dream into the living, breathing world surrounding you now. The corridor you enter feels like a seamless continuation of the story you've just absorbed, as if every curve of its architecture were designed to show, not tell, the next chapter of Pelagia's creation. The air grows slightly cooler, touched by a soft mineral scent reminiscent of deep-sea caverns, and as you walk, the walls shift subtly in color, transitioning from pale blue to a muted silver that ripples gently with each passing current outside. Ahead, a massive circular chamber opens like the inside of a colossal seashell, and suspended above its center is a three-dimensional projection of the city itself, turning slowly, illuminated from within by thousands of tiny lights that mimic the bioluminescent organisms drifting through the water beyond the glass. As you step closer, the projection zooms outward, revealing the colossal engineering effort that made Pelagia possible. Layers upon layers of reinforced bioceramic ribs forming the city's outer shell, interlocked with translucent panels derived from pressure-resistant polymers that incorporate living microorganisms capable of repairing microscopic fractures. The narration returns, softer than before, blending into the gentle echo of the chamber. Construction began at depths previously untouched by human hands. Specialized excavation drones cleared the seafloor, guided by sonar and magnetic mapping, shaping vast depressions where anchor structures would be placed. The drone silhouettes appear in the hologram, sleek, finless machines moving with eerie precision as they carve smooth terraces into the seabed. You watch as massive support pillars, more like braided columns of organic material than steel, descend from the surface aboard enormous submersible platforms, each pillar combining carbon composites with engineered protein filaments that flex under pressure without weakening. When the pillars reach their foundation sites, they unfurl like blooming flowers, spreading stabilizing roots into the seabed and locking the entire framework into place. Each initial support element, the narration explains, was grown rather than manufactured. The concept is startling, but the projection clarifies it. Vats of engineered coral-like structures cultivated in controlled environments, designed to grow into dense, stone-hard mass that thrives under pressure and bonds seamlessly with artificial materials. You watch time-lapse sequences of these organic structures expanding outward, intertwining with synthetic struts, forming a hybrid skeleton stronger than anything humanity had ever built above the surface. From there, vast dome segments are transported downward, each piece shaped like a giant transparent scale and positioned by autonomous construction submarines. These segments curve gracefully into place, edges melting together using concentrated acoustic welding, a process that fuses material through vibration while maintaining structural clarity. The hologram shifts again, showing miles of internal tunnels assembled like the arteries of a living creature. These tunnels, you learn, were constructed in modular form within giant buoyant pods, floated across the ocean, and then gently submerged using ballast tanks until they aligned with the skeletal structure. Once locked in, controlled pressure equalization systems activated, ensuring the tunnels could stay stable long before the rest of the superstructure was finished. No single country built Pelagia, the voice continues. Its modules were crafted across dozens of regions. Pressure domes fabricated in Japan, hydrothermal generators developed in Iceland, living membranes cultivated in Brazil, and structural composites designed in the United States. For a moment, the hologram highlights small engineering teams from around the world working on different components. Technicians carefully shaping oxygen channels lined with microalgae, architects designing observation corridors with panoramic glass, marine ecologists planning sanctuaries into the city's outskirts to prevent disruption of migratory routes. Slowly, the projection zooms into the city's central spine, a towering column that rises through every layer of Pelagia like the trunk of an ancient tree. Inside this spine lies the heart of the city's life support system: nutrient processors, water recyclers, atmospheric balancers, and thermal regulators, all arranged in concentric rings that rotate gently to keep systems evenly distributed. Massive turbines embedded deep below convert the constant pressure of the ocean into clean energy, their slow, hypnotic turns captured in the hologram with soft golden light. Surrounding them, insulated pumps draw in frigid water from the depth, channeling it upward to drive thermal exchange systems that maintain stable temperatures throughout the city. As the hologram finishes its rotation, the chamber dims again, leaving only the outline of Pelagia shimmering faintly in the center. And standing there, witnessing the vast complexity of its construction, you feel a strange sense of awe, not just for the engineering behind this underwater world, but for the quiet determination of humanity to carve a home out of the most mysterious realm on Earth without disturbing its ancient rhythms, choosing instead to fuse with them, one carefully crafted piece at a time. Living in Pelagia, you soon realize, is less like inhabiting a city and more like drifting through a carefully orchestrated harmony of architecture, biology, and quiet human intention. Every corridor, every chamber, every panoramic vista seems designed to remind you that you are not just below the ocean, you are inside it, embraced by its vastness rather than separated from it. The first thing you notice when you step into your living quarters is how effortlessly the environment adapts to your presence. The walls shift in hue depending on the time of day, slowly brightening into soft apricot tones during the artificial morning cycle and dimming into cool aquatic blues as evening approaches, the transitions so gradual that your body's internal clock begins syncing to them without conscious effort. Your room is spacious in a way you didn't expect for an underwater habitat. Curved ceilings, cushioned flooring that softens each footstep, and a gentle warmth radiating from hidden thermal channels beneath the surface. A large semi-oval window dominates the far wall, offering an unobstructed view into the underwater expanse, where strands of glowing algae sway like underwater lanterns and sleek fish glide past in glimmering arcs. Sometimes, if you wake during Pelagia's simulated night cycle, you'll catch the faint shadow of a colossal sea creature passing by, its movement slow and majestic, like the ghost of an ancient leviathan drifting just beyond sight. You begin your morning in a bathing chamber that uses micro-bubble showers, tiny streams of oxygenated water that rinse without waste and fill the room with a soft, effervescent sound. As the bubbles rise along your skin, the lighting shifts to a pale golden hue, simulating sunlight filtered through the surface waves, giving the illusion of being in shallow water even though you're miles beneath. By the time you step into the main corridor, you feel lighter, as if your body has adjusted to Pelagia's natural rhythm. The hallway curves gently, lined with subtle grooves that channel warm airflow from the city's thermal exchange system. And every few meters, you pass sections of living wall composed of engineered kelp and moss that absorb carbon dioxide and exhale fresh oxygen. Residents often pause here, not out of necessity, but because breathing near these walls feels invigorating, almost like standing in the midst of a waterfall. As you walk toward the communal atrium, other inhabitants move quietly around you, their pace unhurried, voices soft, footsteps muted by the cushioned floors. There is no sense of rush in Pelagia. The absence of traffic, harsh weather, and surface chaos has created a society where time flows more smoothly, where people speak at a gentler volume, as if respecting the silence carried by the surrounding ocean. The atrium itself is breathtaking, an enormous spherical chamber at the heart of the city, enclosed by layered glass membranes through which shimmering fish drift in and out of view. Suspended in the center is a slow-rotating sculpture made of bioluminescent fibers, forming a spiraling helix that constantly changes color based on subtle shifts in the city's environmental data. When the currents outside strengthen, the helix deepens into swirling blues, and when activity from the thermal vents increases, it pulses with warm golds and ambers. Residents gather here throughout the day to relax, meditate, read, or simply watch the underwater world through the transparent walls. Beyond the atrium are residential districts designed in concentric rings, each composed of multi-level homes with shared terraces that overlook luminous underwater gardens. Here, you see families tending to vertical growth beds, where engineered sea plants grow in tall, swaying columns, absorbing nutrients from slow-flowing water channels. Their leaves shimmer faintly when touched, a sign of the photosensitive adaptations developed to survive the faintest traces of filtered sunlight. Meals in Pelagia are equally immersive. Communal dining halls serve dishes crafted from hydroponic crops, algae-based proteins, and delicately seasoned seafood harvested from sustainable sanctuaries. The halls are designed to amplify soft ambient music, tones inspired by whale songs, gentle vibrations from oceanic trenches, and rhythmic pulses mimicking the city's energy flow. Eating here feels like participating in a sensory ritual, one that calms the mind and encourages conversation so slow and soothing it almost feels meditative. Even after only a short time living in Pelagia, you begin noticing subtle changes in yourself. Your breathing becomes deeper, your thoughts clearer, your body less tense. There is something profoundly grounding about being enveloped by the ocean's pressure, as though the world above, its noise, its speed, its endless demands, has dissolved into the distant surface light that no longer reaches you. Life here is quieter, but richer in a way that feels ancient, instinctive, and deeply human. And as you settle into your daily routine, you begin to understand why so many choose to remain in Pelagia permanently, letting the ocean cradle them into a way of life that feels like a return to something long forgotten. Moving through Pelagia feels less like navigating a city and more like drifting through a vast, breathing organism whose pathways pulse with the quiet rhythms of the ocean. And nowhere is that sensation more profound than in the city's intricate transport network, a system designed not merely for efficiency, but for serenity, transforming the simple act of travel into a meditative experience. As you step into one of the main transit corridors, the ceiling arches overhead like the spine of an enormous seashell, illuminated by soft ribbons of bioluminescent light that guide you forward in a steady, calming glow. The floor beneath your feet hums with a faint rhythmic vibration, evidence of the pressure conversion cells embedded deep below, converting the ocean's weight into the clean energy that powers everything around you. And the walls shimmer with subtle gradients of blue and silver, reflecting faint movements from distant currents outside. Soon, you reach the entrance to Pelagia's most iconic mode of transportation, the subterranean lines, a series of elegant underwater trains enclosed in transparent, pressure-resistant tunnels that weave through the city like glowing arteries. The station is almost silent, save for the low, soothing rumble of an approaching capsule. And when it arrives, it glides to a halt with such smooth precision that you scarcely feel the moment it stops. The doors ripple open, not sliding but flexing gently like a living membrane responding to your presence. And inside, the train's interior is a masterpiece of tranquil design. Cushioned, contour-fitting seats, panoramic windows that curve across the ceiling, and soft ambient lighting that shifts to match the scenery as you move. Once seated, the capsule begins its slow acceleration, and through the transparent tunnel, you watch the underwater city unfold around you. Massive towers covered in living algae breathe in gentle pulses. Shimmering clusters of habitat pods float in perfectly balanced buoyancy, and schools of iridescent fish move alongside the train, following its path as if momentarily curious about this strange, glowing creature that hums through the deep. The train glides silently along magnetic rails embedded directly into the structural bones of Pelagia, the motion so smooth and weightless that you feel as though you're drifting rather than traveling. Occasionally, the capsule passes through sections where the tunnel emerges beyond the city's perimeter, giving you an unobstructed view of the open ocean, vast, shadowed expanses illuminated only by faint glimmers of bioluminescent life drifting through the darkness. These segments are the most mesmerizing of all, especially when large, slow-moving creatures pass nearby, their luminous patterns casting shifting reflections across the tunnel walls as the capsule hums quietly forward. For shorter distances, Pelagia offers personal drift pods, small, single-occupancy vehicles shaped like streamlined teardrops. Each pod operates autonomously, navigating the network of pressurized tubes that run parallel to the pedestrian corridors. When you step inside, the pod adjusts its internal pressure immediately, releasing a faint exhale as the door seals shut. With no controls to operate, you simply state your destination, and the pod begins to glide forward, propelled by gentle magnetic pulses that create a sensation reminiscent of floating on a calm lake. These pods are commonly used by researchers traveling to distant observational posts or by residents seeking a moment of quiet between sections of the city. Many describe the experience as therapeutic, a rare opportunity to be alone with your thoughts while the ocean moves silently around you. Even the pedestrian pathways have been designed with mobility in mind. Moving walkways constructed from soft, pressure-responsive material carry residents across long corridors without fatigue, while the walls along these paths subtly display environmental data, wave patterns, temperature shifts, migratory movements, rendered in slow, calming animations. And for those who prefer a more leisurely pace, open promenade tunnels, lined with translucent panels, offer breathtaking views of Pelagia's outer gardens, where glowing strands of kelp rise like underwater forests, and shimmering plankton drift in slow, spiraling currents. Beyond the edges of the city, specialized exploration subs provide access to the deeper regions surrounding Pelagia. Sleek, mantis-shaped vessels designed for scientific missions allow researchers to descend into the abyss, their interiors filled with soft seats, panoramic observation windows, and gentle acoustic insulation that transforms the deep ocean's pressure into a steady, soothing hum. When these vessels return, they slip through the docking membranes as gracefully as sea creatures returning to a reef. Everywhere you go in Pelagia, movement is effortless, fluid, and deeply calming, designed not to rush or jolt, but to harmonize with the ocean's pace, reminding you with every glide, drift, and quiet transition that life here is meant to be lived slowly, intentionally, and in rhythm with the world that surrounds you. The deeper you venture into Pelagia, the more you begin to understand that the city is not simply a collection of structures anchored beneath the ocean. It is an intricate symbiosis of engineering, biology, and environmental intelligence, woven together with such subtlety that you can feel its presence long before you can fully comprehend it. As you step into one of the city's central tech galleries, the lights automatically soften around you, shifting to hues of gentle turquoise and pale silver that mimic the filtered glow of distant surface waves, and the air takes on a faint metallic scent, like minerals dissolved in pure deep-sea water. Before you, the gallery opens into a vast hall, supported by sweeping arches that look organic, but are, in fact, a fusion of carbon phosphate composites and living biomembranes engineered to respond to pressure changes in real time. The floor beneath your feet is pleasantly warm, heated by thermal exchanges, channeling energy drawn from hydrothermal vents miles below. And as you walk, you can feel a soft magnetic hum in the structure, a reminder of the power circulating through Pelagia's arterial systems. Along one side of the hall, a towering display rises like the trunk of an ancient tree, showing synchronized data streams representing the city's environmental status. Oxygen production rates, nutrient cycles, hydrostatic pressure differentials, temperature gradients, microalgal growth, and energy reserves. Each data line pulses gently, never flashing or shifting abruptly, as if the entire system were designed to keep residents calm, even during complex operations. A serene voice begins to narrate, but it feels less like an announcement and more like an ambient whisper carried by the water itself. Pelagia is sustained by a tri-layered ecosystem designed to maintain perpetual equilibrium: the biocore, the hydrogrid, and the neuroweave. The hologram expands, revealing the biocore first, an immense spherical chamber deep in the city's foundation where genetically engineered microalgae are cultivated. These algae, suspended in slow-rotating vats, illuminated by faint, cool spectrum lights, are responsible for nearly all oxygen production, carbon scrubbing, and nutrient processing in the city. As the hologram zooms in, you see how the algae react to minute changes in pressure, light, and chemical composition, adjusting their metabolic cycles in real time. The air you breathe every second is a direct result of these microscopic organisms working tirelessly in the shadows. Nearby, tall columns resemble underwater waterfalls, but instead of water, they contain swirling layers of purified microbubbles sliding upward through narrow channels. These oxygen cascades are part of Pelagia's atmospheric stabilizer network, infusing the city's air with balanced mixes of oxygen, nitrogen, and trace elements calculated to reduce fatigue and enhance clarity. The effect is subtle but undeniable. You realize that since arriving, your mind has felt sharper, clearer, as though every breath carries a hint of energy drawn from the ocean itself. The visualization shifts again, now revealing the hydrogrid, Pelagia's primary energy system. Enormous pressure turbines embedded into deep trenches harvest power from the constant weight of the ocean, their slow, hypnotic rotation converting unimaginable pressure into steady electrical current. Beside them, thermal siphons channel heat from volcanic fissures into vast exchangers, generating warmth for living spaces, greenhouses, workshops, and public areas. The hydrogrid functions like a living circulatory system, responding instantly to shifts in tides or thermal patterns by rerouting energy along branching conduits. It's a system so stable that Pelagia's energy reserves rarely dip, even during peak operational cycles or research expeditions. Finally, the hologram reveals the neuroweave, an intelligent, adaptive monitoring network woven throughout the city's very bones. Thin as threads, yet stronger than steel, these biomimetic fibers act as Pelagia's nervous system, measuring stress loads, pressure fluctuations, oxygen flow, and environmental shifts as gently and constantly as a heartbeat. If a structural membrane experiences microfracturing, the neuroweave detects it instantly and signals the living materials to begin cellular repair. If currents outside intensify, it adjusts internal tension across key supports. If oxygen levels in a section drop by even a fraction, vents automatically open or close to restore balance. In essence, Pelagia takes care of itself and of you. As you step deeper into the hall, interactive displays activate around you, showing how residents interact with this technology in daily life. Bedrooms adjust air density to encourage deeper sleep. Communal spaces shift lighting to maintain circadian rhythms. Food growth chambers optimize nutrient cycles based on emotional feedback gathered from environmental sensors. Subtle changes in tone, voice, and movement that collectively help the system determine the ideal ambient conditions for human comfort. Even the soundscape is engineered. Pelagia absorbs harsh noises, amplifies soft ones, and occasionally reproduces faint echoes of distant whale songs recorded from the surrounding ocean, creating an atmosphere that feels alive, ancient, and deeply peaceful. Standing there, surrounded by luminous projections and the quiet symphony of the city's living technology, you realize that Pelagia is not just an underwater habitat. It is the closest thing humanity has ever created to a perfect coexistence between nature, machine, and the human spirit. A place where every breath, every step, every moment feels carefully cradled by an intelligence that wants nothing more than to keep you safe, balanced, and quietly connected to the ocean that surrounds you. Working in Pelagia feels nothing like the surface world's structured, hurried schedules. Instead, it resembles participating in the steady heartbeat of a living environment, where every profession blends into the broader purpose of sustaining life beneath the ocean, and every task, no matter how technical, unfolds at a rhythm influenced by the calm, weightless ambience around you. Your day often begins with a soft chime that echoes gently through your living quarters. Not an alarm, but a tonal cue aligned with Pelagia's circadian cycle, encouraging your body to wake naturally. As you make your way through the gently curving corridors toward your workspace, the city seems to breathe alongside you. The walls shimmer faintly with bioluminescent ripples. Oxygen-rich currents flow through hidden channels, and soft magnetic pulses beneath your feet guide the flow of pedestrian movement without creating any sense of crowding. The first stop in your routine is usually the observation deck, a wide circular chamber with a transparent dome ceiling that offers uninterrupted views of the surrounding ocean. Here, oceanographers, biologists, and environmental technicians gather for the daily hydro brief, a calm, meditative review of tide patterns, thermal anomalies, migratory paths of nearby species, and data from remote sensors placed miles into the abyss. There is no rush in this meeting. People speak in gentle tones, reviewing holographic displays that float slowly through the air, their colors shifting from blue to green as new information appears. When the session concludes, you step into a drift pod, or a slow-moving walkway that carries you to your designated sector. Unlike surface cities, Pelagia does not segment its work districts by industry, but by function, meaning you might pass hydroponic gardens, engineering bays, bioreactors, and social spaces, all within a single fluid route. One of the most essential jobs in Pelagia belongs to the marine biologists who monitor the delicate balance between the city and the surrounding ecosystem. They spend their days in laboratories where tanks filled with algae, corals, and plankton pulse with light, each tank representing a microcosm of the ocean's rhythms. Using delicate gloves and soft tools, they adjust nutrient levels, observe cellular reactions, and ensure that Pelagia's oxygen production remains stable. Because the city relies so heavily on living systems, these biologists are seen not just as scientists, but as caretakers, guardians of the biological engines that make life underwater possible. Engineers in Pelagia work in maintenance hubs, where the walls are lined with holographic panels showing every structural membrane in real time. They perform predictive diagnostics using data pulled from the neuroweave, identifying areas where pressure has caused microscopic stress or where living materials require reinforcement. Their work is not frantic. Instead, it is a peaceful, almost meditative practice, like tending to a massive underwater bonsai tree that grows and shifts constantly. Even their tools emit soft, harmonic tones designed to blend into Pelagia's soundscape. For many residents, however, the most fascinating jobs lie near the outskirts of the city, where research submarines are docked in bays bathed in deep blue light. Scientists, explorers, and environmental historians take these sleek vessels on expeditions into the deeper regions surrounding Pelagia, studying hydrothermal vents, unusual marine life, and the geology of the ocean floor. These journeys can last hours or days, and inside the pressurized cabins, the crew experiences complete silence, except for the low, rhythmic hum of the engines. An auditory environment so calming that many researchers say they do their clearest thinking in the abyss. Back within the city, social researchers, educators, and psychologists focus on Pelagia's unique human environment. They study how underwater living affects mood, attention, creativity, and social dynamics, often finding that residents experience heightened calm, improved sleep, and lower stress levels. These findings, displayed in gentle visualizations across communal spaces, help shape policies that keep Pelagia's population emotionally balanced. Work shifts in Pelagia are short, not because of reduced productivity, but because the city was designed to eliminate exhaustion. With no commute stress, no weather disruptions, no noise pollution, and a perfectly regulated environment, tasks that would take hours on the surface are completed smoothly and without resistance. As the workday ends, residents often gather in communal gardens, on observation walkways, or near the vast atrium to reflect on their contributions. There is a sense of shared purpose here, an unspoken understanding that every job, whether monitoring algal growth or calibrating pressure sensors, is part of a larger symphony keeping Pelagia alive. Even first-time visitors can feel it. Working in Pelagia is not simply about maintaining a city, it is about participating in a rare, delicate harmony between human ingenuity and the vast, ancient ocean that surrounds you. A harmony that gives every day a sense of quiet meaning. Every time in Pelagia feels like drifting into a soft dream you never fully wake from, a gentle suspension of reality where the boundary between the city's architecture and the ocean's natural rhythms dissolves into a single, serene experience. When your work cycle ends, there is no rush to escape crowds, no blaring horns, no harsh lights. Instead, you step into broad communal walkways where the gentle glow of bioluminescent algae traces soft patterns along the curved walls, guiding you toward the heart of the city. One of the most popular places to unwind is the Luminous Garden, a vast, enclosed underwater sanctuary where engineered strands of kelp rise in slow, wavering columns from nutrient beds embedded in the floor. These plants emit a soft, pulsating aqualight, casting rippling shadows that dance across the walls like reflections from distant waves. Residents walk barefoot through the garden's warm pathways, feeling the subtle vibration of the thermal conduits beneath them and breathing in air rich with oxygen from the surrounding greenery. Some choose to sit on smooth, coral-like benches, closing their eyes as faint recordings of deep-sea currents play overhead, creating a soundscape that feels like floating in open water. Not far from the garden lies the panorama chamber, an enormous spherical space with a transparent exterior that offers a full 360-degree view of the surrounding ocean. Visitors often come here after their shifts to sit in suspended chairs that gently sway, synchronized with the movement of the water outside. Large, slow-moving creatures occasionally drift past the chamber, shadowy rays, glowing jellyfish, or the faint outlines of whales passing at a distance, their presence so immense and calm that it feels as though time stretches around them. Watching these creatures is one of the most meditative experiences Pelagia offers, and many residents claim it's become their nightly ritual, as integral to their well-being as sleep itself. For those seeking a more social atmosphere, Pelagia hosts the Coral Atrium, a communal space filled with soft seating arranged beneath sculptural installations made from bioluminescent fibers. As residents gather here, the lights adjust subtly to the natural rhythm of conversation, glowing brighter with laughter, dimming gently during quiet moments, and occasionally shifting into warm amber tones that reflect the emotional harmony of the room. Soft instrumental music drifts through hidden speakers, inspired by the harmonics of whale vocalizations and the low pulsations recorded around hydrothermal vents, creating an ambience that is soothing without ever demanding attention. Libraries in Pelagia are unlike any on the surface. Shelves curve like the inner coils of a nautilus shell, filled with digital and physical archives preserved within pressure-resistant casings. The light in these libraries is cool and rippled, mimicking the sensation of reading beneath shallow water. When you take a seat in one of the floating recliners, the chair subtly adjusts to your posture and heartbeat, creating an environment where reading feels effortless, as if the city itself were holding you steady. Recreational rooms scattered throughout Pelagia offer quiet activities. Projection theaters displaying slow-moving footage of marine ecosystems, acoustic chambers where residents can experience the resonant frequencies of the ocean's depths, and crafting studios where artists mold materials harvested from the surrounding environment. Bioceramics, grown coral composites, and luminescent fibers from cultivated algae. Many residents also spend time in the hydrothermal baths, circular pools heated by the natural warmth of volcanic fissures far below. The water here is rich with minerals filtered by Pelagia's purification network, creating a buoyancy that relaxes every muscle in your body. Floating in these pools, you can hear faint vibrations of the city's living systems, pressure adjustments, distant turbine hums, and the soft murmurs of water flowing through internal channels. Even exercise in Pelagia is designed to be calming. Instead of conventional gyms, residents visit the flow chambers, large, softly lit rooms where slow resistance movements are practiced in harmony with currents controlled by the walls themselves. These currents adjust to your breathing and speed, creating a peaceful dance between body and environment. As your day winds down, many people visit the Twilight Tunnel, a long passageway lined with translucent panels behind which luminescent plankton drift in swirling patterns. Walking through it feels like moving through an illuminated river of stars, each step accompanied by soft chimes that resonate with the rhythm of your motion. No matter where you choose to spend your free time in Pelagia, the experience is always the same: calming, intentional, immersive. A reminder that beneath the surface of the ocean, life can move at a different pace, one guided not by urgency, but by the gentle pulse of the deep sea. Living in Pelagia slowly reshapes your body and mind in ways so subtle and gradual that you only begin to notice the changes after days, then weeks, of moving through its softly lit corridors and breathing its clean, oxygen-rich air. The environment isn't harsh or demanding like the surface, but instead gently nudges your biological rhythms into a state of deeper equilibrium, as if the ocean itself is coaxing your physiology into alignment with its ancient cycles. The first change you feel is in your breathing. Each inhale becomes smoother, fuller, and more satisfying, the air infused with micro-adjusted levels of oxygen calibrated to reduce fatigue and support mental clarity. This air is filtered through layers of engineered algae that not only produce oxygen, but also remove microscopic irritants, leaving every breath as crisp and refreshing as a high-altitude breeze, without the thinness that usually accompanies it. Over time, your lungs adapt to this consistency, expanding slightly in capacity, allowing your body to absorb more oxygen with less effort. You begin waking up more rested, even after shorter periods of sleep, because Pelagia's air composition is designed to subtly enhance the quality of deep sleep cycles. Your skin also begins to respond to the environment. The humidity levels within Pelagia mimic those found in naturally balanced oceanic caverns, never too dry, never overly damp, resulting in skin that feels constantly hydrated without the heaviness typical of surface humidity. This controlled environment encourages the outer layers of your skin to retain moisture more effectively, giving it a smoother texture and a warmer tone, as if your body has adapted to an environment where the harsh elements of sunlight, wind, and pollution have been replaced by stable, nurturing calm. The gentle pressure exerted by Pelagia's atmosphere, calibrated to simulate a mild version of the surrounding ocean's weight without overwhelming the human body, also has unexpected benefits. Residents often report improved circulation and a sensation of lightness in their limbs, attributed to the way the pressure encourages blood flow and reduces inflammation. The soft compression acts almost like a full-body therapeutic garment, constantly supporting muscles and joints without hindering movement. Those with chronic pain or tension often experience noticeable improvement within weeks, as though the city itself is quietly massaging away the accumulated stress of years spent on the surface. Your hearing adapts as well. The absence of sharp noises, no horns, no engines, no distant construction, allows the tiny muscles in your inner ear to relax, making your auditory perception more refined. You start noticing subtler sounds, the faint hum of Pelagia's turbines, the soft crackle of algae filtration, the distant echoes of shifting ocean currents, and the occasional deep vibrational call of a whale passing far beyond the city's perimeter. These sounds are not intrusive. They weave together into a natural symphony that calms your nervous system and gently lowers stress hormones, bringing your body into a state of quiet balance. Even your muscles begin to adjust to the environment. Walking on the cushioned floors of Pelagia, supported by a gravity-calibrated infrastructure that reduces impact, encourages more natural posture and alignment. Over time, your spine feels less compressed, your shoulders drop into a more relaxed position, and your gait becomes smoother. The result is a sensation of effortlessly carrying your own body weight, as if the city were subtly helping you move. Researchers in Pelagia have documented these effects in detail. Lower heart rates during rest, improved respiratory efficiency, enhanced cognitive clarity, and significant reductions in overall stress markers. Many residents describe a feeling of being held, not in an emotional sense alone, but physically, supported by an environment engineered to keep the human body in its most optimal state. The psychological changes are equally profound. With no chaotic visual stimuli, no overwhelming noise pollution, and no rapid environmental fluctuations, your brain settles into a pattern of deeper focus and extended calm. Thoughts flow more evenly, creativity increases, and emotions that once spiked or dipped now move with the slow stability of deep ocean tides. Anxiety lessens, not through suppression, but through the gentle sense of safety that permeates every inch of Pelagia's architecture. Dreams become more vivid, often influenced by the slow, drifting movement of marine life seen before bed. Some residents even report experiencing ocean echo dreams, where the calm rhythms of Pelagia's systems and the soft pulse of distant whales blend into immersive dreamscapes that leave them waking with a sense of profound tranquility. In time, your entire physiology seems to adapt to the underwater world, not because it must, but because Pelagia quietly guides it there. Living beneath the ocean's weight, surrounded by its silence and stability, your body learns a new language, one of balance, softness, and peace. It's as if the ocean, ancient and wise, has reached out through the walls of this city to remind you how effortlessly the human body can thrive when given the chance to exist in harmony with its environment. Venturing beyond Pelagia, even if only through its observation tunnels or the deep viewing lenses embedded along the perimeter of the city, feels like peering into a realm so ancient and untouched that it almost defies comprehension. The deeper ocean surrounding the habitat is not hostile or frightening, but vast, slow, and endlessly calm, a world where movement takes on the gentleness of drifting fog and where time seems to stretch into something softer, quieter, and far older than anything that exists on the surface. When you approach one of Pelagia's outer galleries, long corridors lined with transparent membranes reinforced by living bioceramics, the light shifts subtly, dimming into deeper shades of blue that echo the natural darkness beyond the city's artificial glow. As you gaze out, the urban structures behind you blur into faint silhouettes, and the ocean begins to reveal its extraordinary emptiness, an expanse so wide that it appears more like an endless night sky than a body of water. Occasionally, faint sparks of bioluminescence drift past the window, individual plankton or tiny organisms releasing pulses of soft green or pale blue light as they move with the currents, and each flicker looks like a falling star swallowed by the deep. One of the most mesmerizing features of this region is the slow migration of deep-sea creatures that glide silently across the outskirts of Pelagia. Long, ribbon-like fish swim in deliberate, undulating motions, their translucent bodies illuminated from within by faint internal glows. Massive jellyfish drift through the abyss like living lanterns, their bells expanding and contracting in rhythms so slow and balanced that just watching them makes your breathing deepen involuntarily. Sometimes, if you are particularly lucky, a colossal shadow will pass overhead, one of the ancient, deep-dwelling leviathans, whose movement is so gentle, so patient, that it feels like watching a continent drift across the ocean floor. These creatures emit low-frequency vibrations that resonate faintly through Pelagia's walls. The sound is not loud, but deeply soothing, like a distant, comforting heartbeat echoing through layers of water and stone. The deeper you look, the more you begin to notice that the ocean here is not silent at all. It hums, it breathes, it pulses, with a rhythm that seems to predate human existence by millions of years. Scientists in Pelagia have long studied these abyssal harmonics, low, constant frequencies produced by shifting currents, hydrothermal vents, and the movement of massive geological formations. These vibrations are captured and interpreted by sensors woven into the city's structure, allowing residents to experience them as faint, soothing tones that blend seamlessly into Pelagia's ambient soundscape. When researchers take exploratory submarines into this region, they often describe the journey as transcendent. The vessels leave through docking membranes that open like the petals of a slow-moving flower, releasing them into a darkness so total that only the faint glow of the submarine's external lights provides any sense of direction. Outside, the pressure is immense, but the engineered hull bends and flexes like living cartilage, adapting to the weight of the ocean as effortlessly as your lungs adapt to breathing. As the submarine drifts farther from Pelagia, the lights of the city fade into small, distant constellations, and soon the only illumination comes from the bioluminescent life drifting alongside the vessel. Some organisms emit quick, flickering flashes, like fireflies scattering through mist, while others glow steadily, tracing slow spirals in the water that leave shimmering trails behind them. On rare occasions, explorers encounter hydrothermal vents, tall, chimney-like structures rising from the seafloor, releasing plumes of mineral-rich water heated by the Earth's core. These vents create entire ecosystems thriving in complete darkness. Fields of pale tube worms clustered together like forests of ghostly reeds, crustaceans with reflective shells that glitter like polished stone, and bacteria that convert chemical energy into life in a process entirely separate from sunlight. Watching these ecosystems feels like glimpsing life from another world, a world where warmth, energy, and existence itself emerge not from the sky, but from the hidden fires deep within the planet. And yet, the most profound part of observing this region is not the strange creatures or the glowing currents. It is the overwhelming stillness of it all. The deep ocean moves slowly, breathes slowly, thinks slowly. It shifts with the patience of mountains and the grace of drifting smoke, reminding you that human time, busy, fragmented, hurried, has almost no meaning here. Standing in one of Pelagia's observation halls, your hand resting on the cool, trembling membrane, you begin to feel that stillness seep into you, quieting your thoughts and slowing your heartbeat. It becomes clear why the founders chose this depth, not for isolation, but for peace. The abyss is not empty, and it is not cold. It is ancient, steady, and profoundly calm, a perfect cradle for a city built to reconnect humanity with the forgotten rhythms of the natural world. One of the most enchanting aspects of living in Pelagia is experiencing the rare and quietly mesmerizing natural events that unfold around the city. Subtle spectacles that would go completely unnoticed on the surface, but reveal themselves in breathtaking detail when seen through the transparent membranes of an underwater world. Each phenomenon carries its own rhythm, its own gentle magic, and over time, residents look forward to them the way people on land anticipate seasonal changes or meteor showers. The most anticipated of these occurrences is the Day of the Calm Sea, a moment that happens only a few times each year when the surface above becomes so still that the entire column of ocean between it and Pelagia settles into an almost perfect equilibrium, reducing currents to a barely perceptible drift. During these hours, the water outside the city clears to a crystalline state, allowing sunlight from the surface, filtered into soft beams of pale gold and icy blue, to reach depths it normally never touches. The effect is stunning. The walls of Pelagia glow like giant panes of stained glass, fish shimmer with sudden brilliance, and even the ocean floor, usually shrouded in layers of darkness, becomes faintly visible as a textured mosaic of minerals and moving shadows. People gather in the panorama chamber to watch the light dance through the water, creating patterns so fluid and hypnotic that time seems to stretch around them, each minute dissolving into the next like ripples blending into the sea. Another beloved phenomenon is the night of the luminous swarm, when billions of microscopic plankton migrate through the waters surrounding Pelagia, illuminating the deep with waves of bioluminescent light. As the swarm drifts past the city, its glow pulses in rhythmic bands, first blue, then green, then a soft violet that barely registers on the eye, but creates a sensation of warmth that residents often describe as emotional rather than physical. Whole families gather along the observation tunnels during this event, silently watching as the city becomes surrounded by drifting light, as if Pelagia were floating inside a slow-moving nebula of underwater stars. When the swarm reaches its peak, even the distant silhouettes of whales passing by appear traced in brilliant outlines, their movements slow and reverent, as though the creatures themselves are aware of the beauty unfolding around them. Then there is the Kelp Bloom Symphony, a yearly event triggered by tidal shifts far above the city. Vast forests of engineered kelp outside Pelagia respond by releasing spores that glow in delicate shades of turquoise and pale gold. These drifting particles create soft clouds of glowing dust that move in perfect coordination with underwater currents, forming swirling patterns that resemble ink dispersing through water. The city's designers intentionally routed certain observation corridors through areas where these blooms are most visible, allowing residents to walk through tunnels that feel suspended inside swirling galaxies of light. Musicians in Pelagia have composed entire soundscapes inspired by these blooms, blending gentle percussion with slow rising tones that imitate the drifting particles. During the bloom season, these compositions fill communal spaces, enhancing the meditative atmosphere. Another extraordinary event is the Deep Echo, a phenomenon caused by shifting geological plates far below the city. When certain tectonic patterns align, the movement generates low-frequency vibrations that travel upward through the water, causing the membranes and structural bones of Pelagia to resonate like the strings of a colossal instrument. The sound is not loud, but profoundly soothing, a deep, sustained hum that fills the entire city for a few minutes at a time. Residents often pause whatever they are doing, standing still as the vibration passes through their bodies, describing the sensation as grounding and spiritually calming, as though the earth itself were breathing beneath them. On rare occasions, this vibration coincides with migrating whales, whose songs harmonize with the geological tones, creating a resonance that feels almost otherworldly. Explorers who have captured these moments on audio describe them as the closest thing to hearing the planet's heartbeat. The most mysterious of Pelagia's natural occurrences, however, is something residents refer to simply as the veil. Once every few years, a massive school of translucent fish passes near the city, their bodies so faint and ghost-like that they are almost invisible except for the soft shimmer that outlines their forms when they catch even the faintest trace of light. They move together in a slow, coordinated curtain that floats across the city's perimeter tunnels and observation domes. For several minutes, the city becomes enveloped in this drifting veil, the fish moving as one vast organism, shifting shape like smoke underwater. Watching them feels like witnessing a living dream, a moment where the boundary between imagination and reality dissolves completely. Many residents remain silent during this event, as though speaking would somehow break the fragile beauty of it. Each of these natural phenomena brings a unique kind of calm, a reminder that life in Pelagia is deeply connected to the rhythms of the ocean. And as you stand in one of the observation galleries, watching drifting lights, vibrating echoes, or ghostly veils of fish pass before you, you realize that these events are more than spectacles. They are the quiet celebrations of a world that continues to move, breathe, and unfold in ways more gentle and ancient than anything found on the surface. As more days pass beneath the ocean's steady weight, a subtle yet profound realization begins to take shape within you, one that grows not from a single moment or revelation, but from countless small experiences woven together like the gentle currents that swirl around Pelagia. Living here is not merely an alternative existence, it is a quiet reintroduction to a version of life humanity seems to have forgotten in its rush toward noise, speed, and constant urgency. The ocean teaches patience in a way no surface environment ever could. Its rhythms are slow, deliberate, ancient, and as you move through Pelagia's softly illuminated corridors, breathing its pure air and listening to the distant hum of the deep, you start to feel those rhythms threading themselves into your thoughts. You no longer measure time by hours or schedules, but by the shifting hues of the artificial daylight, the movement of bioluminescent currents outside your window, or the subtle temperature changes that signal the city's transition from rest to activity. Even tasks that once felt routine or trivial take on a more meaningful cadence here. Eating a meal beneath rippling blue light, watching drifting plankton cascade past the dining hall windows feels like participating in a natural ceremony rather than simply refueling your body. Conversations move slowly, thoughtfully. People listen without rushing to respond, as if the ocean has softened the sharp edges of human communication. There is no clutter of honking cars or distant sirens. Every sound has purpose. Every silence has depth. Over time, you begin to notice how your own thoughts become clearer, your emotions steadier. The city supports you without smothering you, built on a philosophy that embraces balance between technology and biology, between structure and fluidity, between human presence and the vastness of the sea. Pelagia is not a fortress sealed away from danger. It is a living expression of coexistence, where every system relies on understanding the forces around it rather than resisting them. That harmony affects you in ways you couldn't anticipate. Stress, once a familiar companion, begins to fade like sediment settling in calm water. Creative ideas rise more naturally, unforced, as if the ocean's silence has opened space in your mind. Even your dreams seem different, quieter, deeper, filled with drifting shapes and soft, slow movements, as though your subconscious has begun exploring the oceanic world alongside you. You find yourself imagining what humanity might become if more people lived this way, not underwater specifically, but immersed in environments that encourage patience instead of urgency, presence instead of distraction. Would conflict diminish if everyone moved through the world with the calm grace of life beneath the waves? Would creativity flourish if minds weren't constantly pulled in 1,000 directions? Pelagia offers a glimpse of these possibilities. It is a city that proves coexistence is not just sustainable, but deeply nourishing. It demonstrates that environments built with intention, where every light, sound, and structure is designed to support well-being, can reshape human behavior fundamentally. The longer you stay, the more the ocean feels like a companion rather than a boundary, its vastness not intimidating but comforting, like a grand and ancient presence keeping watch. The world above begins to feel distant, almost unreal, as if it exists in a different lifetime, and yet you don't feel cut off from it. Instead, Pelagia gives you a deeper appreciation for its fragility. The calmness you've found here makes you wonder whether the surface could one day learn from this underwater cradle, whether cities might be built more gently, whether people might treat the planet with the same reverence Pelagia shows the sea. Standing in one of the observation tunnels, watching faint glimmers drift through the water like wandering stars, you realize that the greatest gift Pelagia offers isn't safety or technology or even beauty, it's perspective. A reminder that humanity is capable of building worlds that heal rather than harm, that nurture instead of overwhelm. And as the soft currents glide past the transparent walls, carrying distant echoes of ancient ocean songs, you feel a quiet certainty settle within you. Living here doesn't just change how you see the ocean, it changes how you see yourself and what you believe the future of humanity could be if it learned to move with the world instead of against it. As the final hours of your day in Pelagia draw to a close, you find yourself drifting through the softly illuminated corridors with a sense of calm so deep it feels woven into your very bones, as though the ocean's slow heartbeat has synced with your own. The artificial night cycle begins its gradual descent, dimming the lights into muted shades of sapphire and deep violet, each hue blending seamlessly into the next, like the fading colors of a distant horizon. The temperature lowers by just a fraction, encouraging your breathing to slow, and the soft hum of the city's systems settles into a deeper, steadier resonance that fills the quiet spaces around you. You make your way through the gently curved hallways, each step cushioned by the floor's subtle warmth, and eventually reach one of Pelagia's most peaceful sanctuaries, the Midnight Chamber. This circular room, suspended along the outer perimeter of the city, is designed specifically for reflection and rest. Its transparent walls extend from floor to ceiling, giving you an uninterrupted view of the vast, dark ocean outside, where faint glimmers float in the distance like drifting stars caught in endless water. As you enter, the lighting dims even further until it's barely perceptible, letting the natural glow of the sea become the room's only source of illumination. You sit on a smooth, curved bench that feels cool at first touch, then warms gradually beneath you, adjusting to your presence. Here, in the quiet of Pelagia's simulated night, everything slows to a near stillness. The currents beyond the glass seem to move more gently, carrying soft trails of bioluminescent plankton that drift like glowing dust. Occasionally a shadow passes, slow, deliberate, immense, suggesting the presence of a distant whale or some ancient creature gliding along the edge of the city's protective halo. The sight is not startling but reassuring, a reminder that life here is part of something vaster and older than anything built on land. As you watch the ocean breathe around you, subtle thoughts begin to surface, reflections on how much has changed since you first arrived, how foreign the world above now feels, and how completely you've adapted to this underwater existence. The stillness of the chamber invites introspection, and in this moment, the boundaries between your inner world and the ocean outside seem to dissolve. You breathe slowly, deeply, feeling the air enriched with oxygen from the biocore flowing through your lungs. Each inhale feels like a cleansing wave, and each exhale releases the remnants of surface tension you didn't even realize you still carried. The muffled acoustics of the city make every sound soft and rounded. Even your own heartbeat seems to merge with the low, distant hum of Pelagia's turbine. Over time, the soft vibration of the deep begins to lull your senses into a state between waking and dreaming. You close your eyes, and behind your eyelids, drifting shapes appear. Gentle arcs of glowing kelp, schools of shimmering fish, the silhouettes of far-off leviathans swimming with patient grace. These images blend seamlessly with your memories of the city, walking through the luminous garden, floating in the hydrothermal baths, watching the plankton swarms wrap the city in drifting light. Each memory unfolds slowly, like pages turning in a book made of water and light. When you open your eyes again, the ocean remains vast and steady, its tranquility pulling you deeper into calm. The midnight chamber subtly adjusts the angle of its seating, tilting it just enough to encourage your body to settle more comfortably. The walls soften their transparency by a fraction, dimming the outside view into a gentle, dreamlike haze that resembles moonlight passing through fog. A soft tone plays from hidden speakers, a harmonic resonance modeled after deep-sea whale songs combined with the faint tremors of geothermal activity. The sound is warm, resonant and soothing, like the planet itself humming a lullaby. As you lean back, your breathing synchronizes with the slow rise and fall of the sound, each inhale blending with the ocean's invisible tide. Minutes stretch into something timeless. You lose track of where Pelagia ends and where the ocean begins. A soft reminder echoes gently through the chamber. Rest. Pelagia stands watch. The voice is calm, warm, almost human. It fades into silence just as another distant whale call vibrates through the chamber's glass, filling the room with a low, comforting hum. Eventually, you rise and make your way back through the darkened corridors, heading toward your living quarters. The city feels even quieter now, as though it too has settled into sleep. When you enter your room, the lights brighten briefly to welcome you, then dim into a soft twilight glow that mimics the last traces of light filtering through shallow waves. You lie down on your bed, which responds instantly to your weight, adjusting its temperature and firmness to support your body effortlessly. Outside your window, the ocean drifts in slow, gentle currents. The bioluminescent organisms shimmer faintly, casting rippling patterns across the room that remind you of stars reflecting on a lake's surface. As your eyes grow heavy, the city's soundscape quiets into a soft, almost imperceptible vibration. Your breathing slows to match it. Soft pulses of blue light glide across the ceiling, timed to encourage deep rest. And then, in the liminal moment between consciousness and sleep, you feel something profound. Not fear, not isolation, but an overwhelming sense of belonging. Pelagia, with all its lights, currents, and whispering systems, cradles you gently in its vast underwater embrace. And as you finally drift into sleep, the city continues its ancient, calming vigil, a quiet guardian beneath miles of ocean, holding you in a world where everything breathes in harmony, where time itself seems to settle into peaceful stillness, and where, for the first time in a long time, you feel truly, deeply at peace.